Thank you guys for watching. Today our guests are TomRay, needs no introduction. Kaira Hassel. Thank you guys for watching. Today our guests are Nyrell Torres. Guys, thank you. Thank you for being here with us.
Yes, no problem.
We have an important message. We need
Sorry,
to.
we're sharing the video.
Yes, no
Turn
worries.
it down, bro. Turn it down.
That's what I tried to do. I was like, oh, snap.
So we have an important message to put out there. We need to speak from the heart. We need to change the narrative, and we need to talk about what we want, what we ask for. Because very often what we ask and what we want is not what they hear. They have their own way of translating what they hear. It's like a relationship between husband and wife. Sometimes what the husband says or what the wife says is not what the other side hears. So let's talk about the issues. So TomRay,
Yes.
take front, introduce these young people here, Kaira and Nyrell, so folks watching us know who they are.
Yes. So first and foremost, I just want to thank you and my brother and sister for taking the time to come and sit down and discuss what needs to be discussed so we can change the narrative in our community. And here I have my sister, Kaira Hassel, who is an artist, a female activist, an educator, a dynamic singer-songwriter, and just an amazing queen overall, truly a powerful sister, and someone that you can call on and depend on and rely on. And then my brother Nyrell Torres, he's, wow, you know what I mean? Truly a powerful brother. A brother I just met maybe earlier, maybe 3-4 months ago now, just being honest and being transparent. And when I met this brother, I seen a split image of myself, because he's so adamant about community. He's so adamant about, changing the narrative in our community, changing the minds of our people, and just really implementing what he expresses from his heart. And I know for a fact that he is truly a man of his word, you know what I mean? Because he's shown up every time that we decided to have a meeting, just spare of the moment, or just phone calls, Zoom meetings, and all of the above. And this brother is a podcast host. He's a curator like myself. He's an artist. We're all artists sitting here, and we all have so much creativity inside of us. And we're just working towards making a better environment for our city of Yonkers.
What about Kaira? Kaira, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Young person. But you have a good sense of the problems that we are facing. Is this a new problem, or is this a problem that's been here all along, but somehow, I wouldn't say people failed to understand, they knew, but they failed to do the changes that we are now asking?
So first, what problem in particular are you talking about?
We are talking about racial problems, injustice, social injustice, that things are not fair. Seems like the system is not designed to give people of color, minorities, and Latino the same justice as everybody else.
I believe, going to your question, you said that you asked if it's a new problem, and because I'm young, I think that this is a national problem, and particularly in my case, I live in Yonkers. I care about Yonkers, so I see it as an issue in Yonkers, yes, but it is a national issue. But my hands will put the work in here. So yes, it's a problem, but it's not just here. It's been a problem, and it's been hidden in different ways. Right now, it looks like something else, but racism is a spirit that has been alive forever, and for 400 years in this country specifically, 400 plus years, and it has grown to be something else. that I believe my generation understands. And not my generation, our generation, because
Yes.
everyone that's living right now, we all understand it. And I think that it's been a problem, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating it, but it's been a problem, and we need to face it for what it has become
Yes.
today in Yonkers.
Yes.
Nyrell, also a young man, a business owner. So my question when I talk about you as a young person is the perspective of a young person.
Mm.
We all know that this problem has been around for a very long time, hundreds of years. But this is the time I think we reached the point of no return. Things must change. We've been asking for change for a very long time. What do you think? Give us your view.
You could.
Speak your truth.
I was about to say you could get the expounded version on my podcast episode tonight. It's actually titled Perspectives, and I came into this understanding just by being a young man and having so many forms and fashions of things you could emulate, not emulate, learn from, not learn from, this, that, and the third. And now we circled back to the same issues that we've been dealing with, like Kaira said, for the same 400 plus years. And it's like, why isn't anything being done? And then I started thinking about it, okay, if things aren't being done and we have these people in positions to make things happen, we have president, we had all of these things of the above, and now we're still in the same predicament. So I realized, okay, the only way we can change it is if we change it.
Yeah.
And it starts with your perspective. You can't be sequestered to your perspective. I understand your perspective is your truth, but in order to try and grow outside of your perspective and just yourself, you have to have a type of mindset to where you're malleable, you're easy to grow and learn and shift and move. But we've been beaten down by the system and bogged down by so many societal influences that we don't have the time to focus on our perspectives. We just keep going. So with Corona happening, we actually had time to slow down. People at home, people are having conversations they haven't had before. Shoot at the protest, more people are protesting. And when you start thinking about that little change, yeah, Corona was terrible, but that little change is what sparked this momentum. Oh, wow. So it really was just our mental. So it really was just the fact that we was just distracted by all of the other things that we had to pay attention to. We've been trained for years on end to not focus on ourselves. And now that we're in a point where we're fed up, we don't know how to move. Just like any type of situation, whether you're in a relationship, like you said, with your wife, your mom and pop's relationship, whatever it is, if you can't understand where that person is coming from or where that person is trying to go, you're gonna stay stagnant. And right now, there's a whole bunch of people that understand where we're trying to go, but we don't understand that they don't want to do it because it hasn't been done. So now we have to shift that perspective, like, okay, we take it into our own hands.
Yes.
Tom, I'm going to throw you a line, and please elaborate on that line. But if you have anything to say, say it first. Maybe you want to say whatever you need to say,
Yeah,
and then I will ask you to.
I wanted to piggyback off what my brother and sister were mentioning, where Kaira mentioned that we need to address these issues. We need to have these discussions. We need to communicate with those individuals who so-called have the power. We need to converse with them so they can hold themselves accountable for the oppression that they put on us. It's racism is real, and it's global, but it's here in Yonkers. And racism is a spirit, and these individuals, they hone this spirit some voluntarily, some involuntarily. And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. There needs to be a truth spoken to power. This is why this discussion this morning is so vital and paramount, because we are discussing what matters right now. And our lives, Black lives, mattered way before a movement started. Way before a movement started. So I admire seeing people walking around with the Black Lives Matter shirts. Salute, God bless. But our lives mattered way before a trend was set. And I know for a fact that, like Nyrell mentioned, the people that so-called have the power is false. Us, the people, us, whether young, old, teenager, adolescent, whatever you want to call it, we have the power. And as we begin to acknowledge that we have the power, as we begin to acknowledge that we are children of God, and the power that we possess because we are children of God, we can destruct the strategy of the enemy. As long as we unite and love one another. Love is the strongest key to spark change. Love, and God is love. You understand what I'm saying? So it's first and foremost, we need to address the racism here in Yonkers. Starting in Yonkers, we need to address that. And we need to have those discussions with those who embody that spirit of racism. So we need to address those individuals. And our people need to stand up. We need to stand up.
You know, TomRay, I agree with everything you said. Love, unity, and power.
Yes.
We do have the power.
Yes.
But I think that we are a giant asleep, that we do not realize the power that we have. Okay? We see things happening right here in Yonkers. We talk about, this is about Yonkers. We see racial issues in Yonkers where minorities, blacks, are discriminated. But we go there is a demonstration going on to talk exactly about that, but you see black people going inside that store buying like there was nothing happened. Where is the unity? Go ahead.
We're a giant. We're a giant, and we continue to call ourselves minority.
Look,
That's the mentality of oppression.
Yes.
They tell us we're the minority,
Yes.
even though we make up a very large population. You know, it's not just African Americans who are black. It's not just African Americans who are being killed and looked at as black by the other man. You know, so like, I feel like once we understand that, like you said, there's something so much greater in here, and that's in all humans.
Yes, yes.
I think when we stop calling ourselves the minority, and when we stop calling ourselves, you know, we need to stop boo-hooing and, like you said, stand up. Like we can't. It's not saying it's time to stop crying, because that's a way of release, but it's time to just put our words to action.
Yes.
And not just doing it quickly, like strategize. Don't just do it off of emotion. Do it because you legit want change. Do it because we're in no rush. We can pass this down to our kids. Unfortunately, we're 400 years in. We got 400 years to go to get rid of 400 years of, work. It's not going to happen overnight. This conversation is only one part of the larger scheme. This conversation is only one part of what's going to be changed in Yonkers. you know, it's on the internet, it's there to live, it's on the library of the world. But there's so much more work to do, and there's so much more work to do to wake up that giant.
Yes.
You know, we need to infiltrate in our children's minds, and so that the giant grows with more people who know that they have a giant in them.
Now, Nyrell, let me ask you a question. There is oppressors and oppressed people.
That's perfect.
Okay? There is two classes of people. And going back to what Kaira just said, there is a group of people that set that mindset, that brainwashed. So we believe that we are powerless. Okay? And the bad thing is, it looks like we believe that we are powerless.
All right, so I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while now. TomRay and I have had a conversation about this. I've spoken about it on my podcast. Hopefully Kaira could fill me in on what she thinks about what I'm saying right now, because I could be out of line. But like I said, I started noticing commonalities betwixt our people, our perspectives. And when we cry, like Kaira said, we have to stop. Because when we cry, in the absence of action, it seems as though you're begging. I'm one to never beg. So my focus has always been to do for myself. And that's where a lot of people differ in their mentalities, because a lot of the times, they don't even have to oppress us no more. We doing it to ourselves. You got people sitting there downing your man or downing a black woman before they even think about it, but then want to cry about somebody else doing something to them. And that's what I say, that it's no longer them oppressing us. This system has worked too well for them. They put it into place, what, 100 years ago? Redlining, all of this stuff. I'm talking about the new shimmy on the oppression. When they started doing it with the laws, because they realized that we was moving too fast within the educational system. We was moving too fast.
We were waking up.
So now, how can we sleep them? We castrate them in every turn. Why can't you get a house? Because when I start, my credit score is low, so I can't even get the first home loan as own. And then you got things like that just pile on and pile on and pile on to now.
Strike up the
You don't even think about doing those things no more. You don't even care about doing better for yourself because you see or you feel that it won't work because you've seen it not work already, or you've seen other people do it and it didn't work out. My thing is, like, oppression is a mentality, so it's easy for these people to play within that gray area. Because if you don't feel oppressed and you feel like you know, as a black man or woman, you are the most powerful, sought after, emulated person on this earth, then you'll understand how to move. You move for yourself, not in opposition. You got so many things that you do every day just because you feel like you have to. And it started with school. It started with work. It started with getting up at times you never wanted to. It started with taking classes you never wanted to. It started with the classes that you were in that you knew wouldn't apply to your life. And now you have no fight for yourself because you fought so hard trying to prove the things that you never wanted to do in the first place. Now, why would you fight for yourself?
Right.
TomRay, before we start, we were talking about become the change you want to see.
Yes.
And I think that there is a lot of work to be done within our community itself. Before we go out there and demand, let's show that, yes, we can do it.
Exactly.
Let's go out there. Let's support black businesses. Let's support the black causes. Let's support the human causes, regardless of what color you are. So what about us? Start motivating us.
Yeah. And that's always the goal, to motivate us first, because we've been on the back burner for years, and if we want to make a difference in our community, we must change ourselves first. But the thing is, I've realized along my journey and the longer of just being a student of life, people have a tough time with change because they're so familiar with the everyday life of getting up and going to work, getting up and going to school, and coming home and just doing the typical thing that we are told to do.
It's like they're checking boxes.
The typical thing that we are told to do. And I realized that our people in general, perish due to the lack of knowledge. Completely perish due to the lack of knowledge. And as we begin to empower ourselves, the motto, each one teach one, still lives today, because what we learn, we must teach. What we learn, we must teach, and we understand the educational institutions in place to educate us. We're not going to touch on that. We know exactly what that's about. It's just, we've been so falsely educated over the years that we're so sedated to doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And until we begin to empower ourselves, because a teacher will give you an assignment, and you feel obligated to complete that assignment because the teacher gave it to you. Who is self-motivated enough to go and educate themselves and then go and educate the community, educate the kids? You know what I mean? Because our kids, I've worked in the school system for 10 plus years, in the Yonkers public school system for 10 plus years, and I'm a proud educator. I'm a proud educator because I love our kids. I love our kids 1,000%. And I realize that our kids want to be taught. They want their education. They want a transparent educator. They want someone that they can relate to. They want education that's not truncated. They want education that's real. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, they're giving them the same curriculum every year. So how can you change? But these are the institutions that's in place already. So in order for us to really make a difference, we got to create a society within a society and make a difference that way. Because we got the power. And as we begin to, once again, educate ourselves, as we educate ourselves and what we learn, I'm a prime example of that. Everything that I've learned, I'm willing to teach it.
Facts.
Everything that I learn, I'm willing to teach. Everything that I've gained, I'm willing to share. Everything that I've earned, I'm willing to show someone how to cultivate this craft and earn it for yourself. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to really building our community, because we're leaving it in the hands of elected officials. Mm-hmm. Salute to them. Salute to every elected official that's in place. I salute each and every one of them. But they're not going to be able to make the change that we want to see. We got to do that.
How would you do that? I think the changes is not just systematic in the system, but also in the homes, the way we raise our children. What is it?
Empowerment.
Yes, those are beautiful words, but a lot of people that are watching must say, okay, what does TomRay means by empowerment? What do you actually mean by it?
Can I speak
Yes,
on that?
sure, Kaira.
I think every single human being has a part to play.
Yes.
3 intellectuals sitting in front of you. Some of us march. Some of us protest, some of us educate, some of us cook, some of us, there is a part to play. And when you find your part to play, that's when empowerment starts, because now people are getting it from all aspects. Everyone's on the front line playing their part. We don't need somebody not on the front line. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about protest front line. Mm-mm. We're talking about the front lines, unified, empowered lineage of people who are willing to, and everyone has to be on board, who are willing to pass it down to the next generation, whatever you have. We don't need you to be, like, if reading is not your thing, first of all, you need to read, but if reading is not your thing, if it's not your thing, figure out something that you can do to better your community. You don't need to change the world. We're not asking you to change the world. We're asking you to infect positively the people and the children that are around you. And to play your part. You don't need to preach. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be any of that. Like, if you're good at mixing Kool-Aid, mix Kool-Aid well. And do it with intent. Your intent needs to be filled with love. And your intent needs to be filled with, and it needs, if you're not an emotional being, and going back to what you said about, like, don't cry unless you're going to put action toward it. If you're going to cry, then cry with with the people who do cry. And then find a way to uplift them.
Absolutely.
If you are a screamer and you're a rager because, you take that rage and that's how you express what you feel, then do that with the people who also are ragers. There are communities within the communities, and I feel like, all three of us, we have different tribes, but at the end, white, black, we all have to live on this earth together. And going to the education, if our children that look like us, and when I say our children, I'm not trying to divide us. It is what it is. If our children are not being educated the way they need to be educated, then we have to figure out ways. Our intellectuals need to figure out ways to provide the children that live with us an education that fits the life we know they're going to live, the life that they want to live, and if your child is getting a sufficient education in your eyes, that's fine. But there are kids who aren't. And I think that's the job of the intellectuals. And right now, I think what needs to be done, there has been so much done from the civil rights. There has just been so much that has already been done. But right now, it's time for those who want to do the action, put the action in. For those who want to think, we need the thinkers. For those who want to nurture, we need the nurturers. But we need you to play your part. We don't need... education is a piece of it. Oppression is a piece of it. Gentrification is a piece of it. I can't hold all those pieces. TomRay can't hold all those pieces. Nyrell can't hold all those pieces. Yonkers Voice can't hold all those pieces. But you can play your part in an excellent way. You can play your part in a well-rounded way. We can play our part in a well-rounded way, in an excellent way. And when things are done in excellence, the other side of that excellence, the consequence of excellence, is only great power. Things will be changed when things are done in excellence and with good intent and with strategy.
As you know, we are live streaming, and there is people commenting as we go. And there is a comment here from Carrie Ann. She says, "Oh no." Now, I don't know the "oh no" is for whom, because there is a delay between us and them. But this is what she said: "Oh no, the first job is parenting."
That's something that, like I said, I'm just gonna stop plugging my podcast. Everything that we're talking about has been said multiple times.
We are going to talk about your podcast.
No. But I wanna say something to that.
Definitely.
Because there are many people that understand that it has to do with the parenting. We can't just say fix parenting. Realistically, parents don't even know half of the time what they're doing. You have to talk to your kids.
Parents were the children before.
You have to talk to your kids. Like you have to talk to your kids, and you have to let them understand where you're coming from, because just dictating all the time and giving seldom space for understanding, a lot of the times you tend to get a rebellious response, or you have your kid acting out because they already receive that everywhere else in every form and fashion in their life, whether it be school, whether it be a store they walk into, whatever the case may be. It's judgment, period. Now, when you can come to a level and meet your kid where they're at to show them you're not this high and mighty person, like you messed up too, you did this, that, and the third. And then you go back to the parents that are completely on the ladder, that have drug issues, that can't really provide for their kids, but their kids still succumb to the same fate as somebody that had a great parent. At the end of the day, it's all about influences and what you are in your child's life. And a lot of the times, whether it was in the 80s, drugs, you're not in the house, or now your parents working so damn hard trying to keep up with the Joneses, to now you have all this ample free time. There just has to be a commonality betwixt the parenting and the children, because realistically, parenting won't happen without the children. And all parents can't come to a consensus and figure out how to be better parents.
Yeah.
You have to hear it from the ladder.
I wanna share something, and because it's on my mind, it's fresh on my mind. Piggybacking off of what Kaira said, we need everybody, and everyone serves a purpose. Each and every one of us have gifts, right? Now, each and every one of us has gifts to offer to the community, to offer to bettering our people. Now, getting to the parenting, right? The lack of education. I want to share something, just a brief snippet of a poem, a brand new poem that I titled "Boys in the Hood," right? And I'm gonna express the beginning of it, and I say, in every hood, there's a doughboy Trey and Ricky in need of consistent guidance with the presence of a father figure. Ironically, their father needed a father figure who calls their sons kings instead of my little you know what. Now, I say all of that to say there are forces in place that basically crumble the household of our families. And there is a letter out there, the Willie Lynch letter, which speaks to dividing our households. That's the reason why, it's so much we can touch on right now. It is so much that we can touch on right now that speaks to dividing our households. And it's happening in front of our face due to the systems that's in place.
TomRay, it goes back to what you just said 10 minutes ago. Love, unity, and power. When you break the unity, you conquer. Okay? You conquer by dividing.
Yeah.
That's why we have to work on unity.
And that unity starts with people loving themselves, and a lot of people are dealing with the crisis of self-hate because they're looking on the people need to begin. Well, we were told years ago to turn the TV off. People are watching TV on a daily basis, comparing themselves to individuals who are getting plastic surgery, and it looks as if they love themselves. In all reality, that's a sense of of insecurities. You get what I'm saying? And in order for us to get back to love, true, genuine, agape love, it starts with self-love. And a lot of our people, us humans, a lot of us humans battle with loving themselves.
You're so right, TomRay. Many of the answers for the deep questions that we have, sometimes they are deep within ourselves.
They lie within us.
Okay? If we have a conversation with ourselves once in a while, we have all the answers. We just have to execute them.
It's so funny that you said that, because that's when you said, how do we do it? And then TomRay said, empowerment. And then you said, those are good words, but like, what action would be behind that? And I forget what Kaira said, but it was along the lines of, we have to ask those questions. And I don't think it's just addressing those that are in place, but also asking ourselves those difficult questions. Because in all reality, you could lie to everyone. Once you start lying to yourself,
But you can lie to yourself, right?
look, but once you start lying to yourself,
You're playing yourself.
you're playing yourself. You're feeding into the vanity.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to asking yourself those questions. Because you ask yourself those questions to start portraying and putting on, do I even like doing this? And then you convince yourself you did when you didn't. So why not actually ask yourself, why am I still doing this that doesn't feed me?
Nyrell, Kaira, TomRay, I think that in any interview or anything that people do out there, we should stop talking about the things that people want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
We need,
Tell the truth.
yes, we need to start talking
Unadulterated.
the truth. Okay, unfiltered. Look, this is it. If you want to change this, you need to do this.
Exactly.
Regardless if
And
you're
the
white, black, black on white on black.
And-
Accept things as they are and look for the truth and
And Ben,
for the
you know-
solution there.
You know what I realized too? A lot of folks say they want the truth, and then when you speak the truth, they
They're not ready.
ridicule you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
understand? Because I've dealt with that. I deal with that on a daily basis. As far as I deal with spirit and truth. I joke around because I have a humorous spirit, but when it's time to get serious, I'm sincere. I'm sincere about all that I do and all that I say, and it's like the truth hurts. My mother, I got whoopings when I was younger because the truth needed to be displayed. You're gonna be punished. You're gonna be punished for your wrongdoings. And here it is, nowadays, CPS. You can't discipline your child because CPS is in place. You understand what I'm saying? And our kids need discipline. But when they get locked up, that's the disciplinary actions. Now they're under confinement for 23 hours, but you're telling them their parents can't discipline them. But when they get out of order, they wind up in a prison system where they're being disciplined by oppressors. But meanwhile, the parents can't discipline them? These are systems that's in place.
That is going to take us into the next segment. Unless Kaira or Nyrell have
Kaira.
anything else to say. What did I say?
Kaira.
Kaira, I'm sorry. Okay, unless you two have anything else to say on what we've been talking so far.
I love the discussion, man. Let's
Oh,
continue.
we are going to continue
Yeah,
just
yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Now, before you two were born, you were just a little guy. I was already around with the segregation in the front of City Hall. I don't know if you guys, you did not witness it, but you heard of it.
Yeah.
Blacks on one side, whites on the other side, and that had to stop. We demonstrated in front of the City Hall. There were mandates, there were threats. If you don't do this, you go to jail and all that stuff. Nowadays, I talk to a politician and they tell me that Yonkers is an inclusive and diverse city.
How if you just
Is
be
it-
segregated about
But my question is this: is Yonkers a diverse and inclusive city, or is racism in Yonkers being masked a little better?
Yonkers is a diverse city, inclusive, in ways.
Yeah.
In ways, but we're a segregated city. I can literally, it was funny, I can literally tell you what nationality, what ethnicity lives in which part of Yonkers, New York.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, oh, well, this belief system or this, where, what is it? Is it ethnicity or?
Ethnicity.
That's where you're, like the country you're from.
Your origin.
Origin, like, I can literally block and say like majority of these people are from this country in Yonkers. By Lincoln, there's a particular ethnicity that lives by Lincoln. There's a particular ethnicity that lives by Saunders. There's a particular ethnicity that lives in all of these different places. So we are still segregated, but we are very diverse.
But that type of segregation might be a little different than done by design. And this is what I mean. I'm from Mozambique, and if I come to Yonkers, and if I know that people from my country lives in a particular block, my tendency to live within my community, where I find my friends, when I find the things that I want, where I find the restaurants that I want to eat in.
That's beautiful. But when the black community is consistently being torn down and
that's the difference.
And gentrified, it's now you're picking which ethnicity you want to pick on.
Yeah.
Go pick on the people that live by Saunders. Go pick on the people
that's where
that live by
Lincoln.
And I don't even live here. I live by them. And it frustrates me to see the people who can't live in those communities be taken advantage of because of the resources that they've been given and the predicaments that they are still in because of the system. Their mom was on welfare. Their grandmother is still on welfare. Their great-grandmother is still on welfare. And that is being passed down generationally. And I'm saying that for those people who say, they have an option. They can get out of that. They don't know how to.
Bam.
They don't have the information. They don't have the intellect. They don't have the education. And yes, they were given free education in a school where teachers don't even live in the same city that they live in. They don't know that their brother the teacher doesn't know that their student's brother was just shot the night before. But you want me to do homework? You want me to learn from you? You don't know. You don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand that I'm getting evicted out of my building because there are two men who are building up downtown Yonkers. What, you want a beautiful view by the pier? This is where I live. This is where I was born. This is where I was raised. Welfare, the Social Security is down the street. This is where I go to get money to eat. I shop over here. But I don't even see, my family is moving down south, but this is where they live, but they can't even afford to live here anymore. So yes, we are a segregated city. We are, but we also are a diverse city. This is a melting pot. We live in a melting pot. But if that melting pot is picking and choosing who to help and who to uplift and who to build on, that's disrespectful to human beings. Disrespectful to human beings. And that's what we need to break in the city of Yonkers.
I want to share, piggybacking off of my sister, where there's tribalism all over the world, right? Asians got their own communities, Dominicans got their own communities, some African, like fully blown Africans straight from the motherland, they have their own communities. Puerto Ricans got their own communities. What else? Arabics got their own communities. Who else? There's so many others that have their own community in place. We have nothing.
We have a community.
No.
They just be tearing it down.
Exactly. to get us out of there. And the thing is, it's so sugar coated, and it's a lot of smoke and mirrors out here that's being cleared. And with having these discussions right now, it shows that the smoke and mirrors are being cleared because we're speaking truth to power. And it's like it's stated on TV, it's stated in music, it's stated in the schools that we are one. That we are one. But meanwhile, the Asians don't look at us as their brother and sister. Dominicans don't look at us as their brothers and sisters. Arabics don't look at us as their brothers and sisters. They might call us Aki, but they just want the bread. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Dominicans, they don't. And the thing is, we all started from Africa. That's the truth. That's truth to power. You feel what I'm saying? It's empowerment. If we all come from Africa, we're all one. But meanwhile, the systems that's in place divide us.
Many years ago, Mayor Dinkins from New York City was having a problem in Brooklyn between the Jewish Orthodox community and the rest of the community, especially the black community. He wanted to find a solution. He went to the rabbi, and said, Rabbi, we have a problem. We have a problem between the Jewish Orthodox and the black community. How can we solve this? The Orthodox Jewish said, the problem is right where you just said it. You recognize that it's two. We are only one.
Yeah, and that's why I said Yonkers is segregated. Because there's a community, and I get people live where they feel comfortable. You should. You should. But when it all comes down to it, in Yonkers, New York, if there's a difference between celebrating your culture and who you are and using it to be superior. And that spirit is in our city. That spirit of, you know, if one of our schools, our public schools, is in their community, and me even saying their community, you know, it's our community if I go to school here.
Exactly.
And, you know, people will say, oh, well, that school, like, I'm not sending my kid to that school because they go there. That happens in the city, you know, and I think our city has the potential to be great and amazing. And I think, one, we don't have pride. People don't have pride in the city, in this city that we live in. I think, and it's because we feel very boxed off in such a huge city. Our city is one of the largest. Yonkers is one of the largest cities in New York State, but it doesn't feel like one big city. It feels like separated pieces of a thing we call Yonkers. You know, when we say, where do you live? People are like, oh, I live like in the Bronx. You know, like, people don't have pride to say, I'm from Yonkers. I think that's what we're missing. And I think that will like, I think we do need to build, you know, black education, black voices and self-love. I think that is 100% a top priority. But I do think in the city of Yonkers, because we are a melting pot, we have many opportunities if we unify.
Simple as that.
I think it starts with the understanding that unifying as a city of Yonkers, no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter what nationality, no matter what neighborhood you live in, I think we need pride, and that will lead to education. That will lead, because, you know, Nyrell can teach someone, an Arabic child. He has something to tell them. But if there's no trust factor, you know, a lot of people within the communities, like you said, I'll live here because I know you're from the same country that I'm from. So there's a trust factor already there because you have some of the same values, the same morals as I was raised on, because we're from the same place. What if we have that in Yonkers? You're from Yonkers? I love you, I respect you because you're from Yonkers. You know, like, that's pride. That's showing you that I trust you because we share some of the same morals and same values. And that is not across the board in Yonkers right now. And I think leadership from the mayor down, that needs to be communicated. That, you know, we're from Yonkers. And in Yonkers, we do things right. In Yonkers, our police talk to us before they judge, you know, what I'm doing. My police officer handles, if I'm committing a crime, my police officer knows exactly what to do without killing me. If I am walking down the street, I have a garbage can to put garbage in.
That part.
If I am looking for a new job, if I'm looking for a journalist to talk about my new movement to help children, I have Yonkers Voice to go to. There's pride. There's no pride right now. There's no consistent pride through our entire city, from cross county to the pier. There's no pride. And I think once we bring that, it doesn't matter, then we can start to really dig in and find the race. The race issues will become more irrelevant because they'll be in our face, and we'll know exactly what snake's head to cut off. You know, right now there's too many snakes. There's too much corruption in our city, and we need to kind of
confront it.
Yeah, confront it and understand it by loving our city first enough to understand it. You gotta love something.
All right. So now let's move into the other segment. Now, anything else you want to add to this, or are we ready to move to the next segment?
No, I'm good.
BLM, Black Lives Matter. Social justice / injustice in relation to Yonkers. Let's start with Yonkers. We've seen major movement. I don't want to say a momentum, because the momentum is something that moves away or fades away. It's a movement. And we have to make our voices heard, and we have to get things changed. But I want to ask this question in relationship to Yonkers. Do we have the same problems with social justice, injustice in Yonkers as we see around the nation? Anyone?
Absolutely. I can testify to that just due to several endeavors that were in place, and we dealt with systematic racism.
In Yonkers?
In Yonkers. But here it is, we're working on overcoming that, right? But here's my thing, right? Why is it that we're in 2020 right now? Why is it that we still have to strive to prove that we are human?
Who are we proving it to?
No. Of course that. We're proving it to the powers that be. Why do we have to still march in the streets that our lives matter? Why do we still have to protest and sign petitions and march and print out shirts and all of the above? Why do we still have to do this over 400 plus years, going into 500 years, whatever? Why do we still have to prove that our lives matter?
It's 400 years of work that we have to get rid of. We're going to be saying this for a long time.
No, 1,000%. And I totally agree that.
We are, the iceberg hasn't even been chipped yet.
No, not at all.
The avalanche has not even been phased.
Can I say something? I feel like they ain't even
No.
know where the avalanche.
Exactly, because we have individuals, the powers that be, that don't want to hold themselves accountable for their own racial gestures, their own racial spirits. They want to come around and act like they love you. They want to come around and act like they're friends with you.
TomRay, in one of the rallies, I was there. Nyrell was there. Many police officers were there. Police commissioner was there. He spoke loud. He understands the problem.
Yeah.
They're going to do changes to resolve the problem. Did they need rallies to understand the problem?
That's what I was.
I think the rally is for the people.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not in those meetings. I want to hear it out your mouth, and I want to record it so that when you don't do it, I have a video showing you and your family that you are not a man of your word.
But do you think that maybe whatever they said it to please the people that were around them?
that's our job to hold them accountable.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you holding them accountable?
For sure.
What I mean when I say you, I don't mean you personally.
But me personally,
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, you and the community, the community, and all of us, are we showing up in those council meetings and say,
Yes.
excuse me,
Yes.
Yes, for
you
sure.
said this, and that.
For sure.
What have you done?
Here's my thing.
For sure.
Here's my thing. I've had a meeting with the commissioner who I applaud and salute.
Yeah.
I salute John Mueller.
Yes.
I salute him. I had a meeting with him. The thing is, he expresses how he wants to make a difference. He himself, he can't speak for the rest of
That's what I was
The
trying
police
to say.
force.
the police force. He can't speak for them. He can't speak for.
Like at that rally, he took a knee, and there were many police officers who did, and thank you.
Others that didn't.
And the knee, and the knee doesn't mean you. The knee means you are in agreement with your city, that there's a change. You know, George Floyd did not live in Yonkers, New York. You know, but Yonkers, New York met on behalf of him. But then Yonkers, New York, we had many rallies because now that we've marched for George Floyd, we need to march to show our city that and Yonkers is not the things that happen are not out in the open. You know, Yonkers, and that's why Yonkers is looked at as a very great city, which it is. And it's because, you know, some of the very overt things that happen in our nation, our police aren't killing us, you know, in Yonkers. But there is police brutality in Yonkers.
Yeah, it is.
You know, there's not overt things happening in Yonkers. And when you say, you know, is the community holding the people accountable, you know, not just individuals. I think a lot of the times our community, and I'm not just talking about Black people, I'm talking about the Yonkers community. I think we live in our own world so many times that we disconnect from the politics. So I think that there needs to be the people who don't disconnect. Those are the voices for the community. And when I mean the voices, don't speak on behalf. Talk to the community so that you can bring what the community is saying and your thoughts, and you can intellectually communicate that to the powers that be, the powers that run our city. So when I say yes, we are holding them accountable. We are holding them accountable on behalf of the conversations and the communication that we're having with the people that we come from, our tribe. Sorry.
Yeah. Take your time, sis.
Our tribe.
Take your time.
You know, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was saying take your
go
time.
ahead.
Because I was going to mention, I've sat down in many, many meetings over the years. I've sat down in many meetings, and there were promises given. There were budgets passed stating that we're going to have this program, we're going to have that program, we're going to have these outlets for the kids. Over the years, this was all stated. We even seen flyers of this is going to be created for our youth and this and that. But over the years, I have seen nothing. Literally nothing. Like I've sat down in these meetings, stakeholders meetings, all of the above. And I applaud every individual. I hate no one. If you're gonna say something, do it. And they've been saying a lot and not doing nothing.
Can I piggyback off that? I wanted to say this just because, in all actuality, that's the only reason why things aren't being done, and I'm taking it to the beginning of what I said, because starting this, we understood that obviously things aren't being done because they don't want them to be done. That's clear. And then the clear pacification of it is just further evidence of the pacification, because it's paperwork. But until we show them that, okay, cool, you don't want to help us do that, we'll do it ourselves. That's when they'll actually start kicking themselves in the behinds. Because until this pandemic, and we was like, yo, man, we going outside, we going to the beach, we doing this. Oh, we're gonna start opening up slowly. most of the things that we do or need done, we can do with our communities. But it starts with unity. It starts with togetherness. Togetherness. It starts with empowerment. But to link all of those together, we got to actually start holding ourselves accountable first.
1,000%.
Because we can't hold these people that we understand, at least now we do, understand that they're just figureheads.
Mm-hmm.
You're just there to make me feel calm. You saw it, the painting on the streets, this, that, and the third. We asked for none of it. But everything we've asked for the past centuries has still been a struggle to receive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I implore you to do the work yourself. Stop reaching for these outside sources, because in actuality, once you're here waiting for one of those sources to come and then the other two doesn't drop and now you're asked out, you're like, oh my gosh. And don't do the work no more, because you might get, and then that's what I mean by we're oppressing ourselves. We're stopping ourselves.
Yeah. Now, in regards to Commissioner Mueller, I have spoken to him numerous times as well. And many of those changes that they were talking about implementing, those changes were already on the works prior to the march.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Mueller was already working on those things. But as you said, he's the commissioner, but he doesn't control everything that it's done.
Exactly. This is why we say we applaud him.
Yeah, we have a great city.
Yeah.
We live in a great city. But it's not a perfect city, and we never will be a perfect city. But the issues that we're experiencing in regards to race in Yonkers, New York, will be identified by the people that are in this room and our tribes. It will be identified. Go ahead. What do you got?
So, and he said to me, talking about the commissioner, that he realizes there is problems within his department. It's not the perfect department.
Yeah, he said that.
Can I say something to that?
He mentioned that in
He
the
mentioned
meeting I
it
had
numerous
with him.
times.
I was about to say, because we understand that. But the problem we have is people are just getting jobs to secure jobs. You used to want to become a policeman to make a change. Now you got people getting a badge and a gun just for a pension. It's bugged out to me, but it's understandable, because what is this nation driven by?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we are a great city, and I love my city of Yonkers.
Facts.
I love my city. I love my people. I love all, because that's what I'm ushered to do by God, and I'm gonna follow that model until God calls. Right. So, my thing is, I know that we're not perfect and we're gonna mess up, but we cannot fall back on that claim every time. We've been falling back on that claim for years. I'm not perfect. We've been trying to implement solutions, and it's like we keep on, not as a collective, you know what I mean? Because we as a people, we got to hold ourselves accountable too. We mess up, but the thing is, we've been so oppressed, dog, that it's like, what else do you want us to do now? Like, you feel what I'm saying?
Can I say something to that? Like, I keep wanting to emphasize that the work we are doing is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And the people that came before us, the journalists that came before you, the young people who had passion for, social justice. This is not new. And every generation, something happens, something changes for the better, and whether it's a small win, a small victory, or a big victory, I go back to just play your part.
Yeah.
In Yonkers, New York, because that's why I'm here, I want to live in a city that I can be prideful about. And where I hold my pride is when my community, and when I say community, I don't just mean my black community. I mean Yonkers, New York.
As a one.
As a one. I want Yonkers, New York to be a place that we can pridefully say we can cohabitate as different cultures.
As it should be.
But Kaira, in order to achieve your goal,
Right.
my goal, our goal, because we all want to live as one.
Exactly.
We don't need, blacks are not asking for special favors. We don't are not
Equality.
asking for special treatment. We're asking for equality. We're asking for us to be treated as
Exactly.
one people,
Exactly.
one race, regardless of what covers our flesh. That's what we're asking for. But there is people that are saying, no, that's not what they really want. You know,
And
they don't-
that's why we're here, to change
Exactly.
the narrative of what
let's change that narrative.
exactly they're saying that's not what they want, because there are some black people who are screaming that that's what they want, you know. But I'm telling you right now that the three leaders sitting in front of you, we want equality, we want love, we want people to be educated about their history, we want people to be educated about being a human being, we want people to have knowledge, we want people to have wealth, we want people to understand their perspective, we want people to thrive.
Yeah.
But it all starts with each and every one of us
Yeah. Playing that
chipping at the ice. And chipping at the ice and then passing the torch along. This is not gonna happen overnight.
part. Not at all.
But it's about just putting these conversations, and thank you again for letting us have this
Kaira,
conversation.
that's the point. I wanted to change the narrative.
Yes.
We know the problem.
Yeah.
We need
What's
to
the
find a
It's
solution.
been
Exactly.
here, yes.
Okay, we all know the problem.
Yeah.
We know what has been happening for 400 and some years.
Yeah.
But we also need to make sure that people who are watching us, people that talk about what we want without understanding what we want, and then when they hear or watch or see a black person doing something, you see, they're all animals. One black person does not speak for all black persons.
Never.
Just like one racist, white racist, does not speak for all whites.
And just like one non-racist white person doesn't speak for all
Exactly.
whites.
Yeah.
Just
So-
like one Dominican doesn't speak for
for
all
all
Dominicans.
Dominicans.
Just like one, you know, we gotta stop. We gotta stop taking away our individualism. Like, I'm an individual.
So, Kaira, let's talk about the solution.
The solution.
Let's talk about changing the narrative. Let's talk about make it clear or what we are asking for. Make it clear that we are not asking for anything more than what you've been getting for all these years. We want all of us to be treated in the same way. That's what I
Well,
understand.
can I tell you what I'm asking for?
Please,
I'm
yeah.
literally asking for nothing. I'm going
Thank
to
you.
lead a conversation. And I'm not asking for anything. Now, if I want to have a relationship with the mayor of Yonkers and we can see how we can partner and, you know, how I can help you and how you can help me, that's great. But I'm literally not asking. I'm not asking if I'm not giving.
Exactly.
You know, like, I have something to offer as well. We have something to offer as well. You have something to offer as well. Now, how can Kaira Hassel help Yonkers Voice? How can Yonkers Voice help Kaira Hassel? That's how you build pride in a community, because you know, you need this happening? Let me call my friend from Yonkers. You know, I think, and so since I'm not asking anything, what I want to make happen is, what I think the solution is to help people learn how to communicate healthily so that they can understand what their part is in playing a role in certain roles. And I think you figure out what your part is by just listening to the people who have already done certain things and what you feel most connected to and what you feel most passionately about. That's your role, you know, take on it as a lifestyle. And I think that's what my solution will be moving forward, is sparking those conversations that seem so minuscule, but in the end, someone has developed the idea of themselves.
So, guys, I think that Kaira had ignited the conversation.
Mhm.
Okay, the group that we have here in front of us, Tom, Kaira, and Nyrell, have identified the problem,
Yeah.
which we've been knowing for a while.
Yeah.
The solution.
We also
What
got
was-
some solutions
Yeah,
if you wanna.
we have some solution, but now my question to any one of you is, how can we start moving the community to unite and to become that one that
Yeah.
Kaira is talking about?
You do exactly what she said. You have to realize your position. You have to be honest with yourself.
Vulnerable.
And you also have to have a sense of vulnerability to be able to detach all of the things you feel you need to be protected and actually go find some armor that works. You've been hurt this whole time. Fighting, surviving this whole time. It's time to thrive. Take steps forward instead of steps backward. I'm not asking for anything.
Once a year.
What I'm doing, like she said, is actually leading by example, because that's the only way we would actually get our communities to do anything. We got to get into these communities and get these people that have these kids emulating them, wanting to go get this car, that car, pants sagging, do this video, sell whatever, this, that, and the third. Show them a different way.
So I guess the group here, it's not using a line used before, but they executing something that someone said before. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country.
Yeah.
So here, they don't want the community to do anything for us. We are asking, what can we do for the community? So instead of having 2 or 3 parallel communities within one, let's change that and make it one community.
And the crazy thing is, you know what? What we're saying, we're doing. Each and all 3 of us, we're doing it because, as you know, back in 2017, I created a English language arts curriculum called the Expressive Readers course, and that curriculum was designed to help our youth. Is designed to help our youth better comprehend empowering literature, build a vocabulary, focus on public speaking, and also learn how to work in group settings of a diverse population. So I say all that to say I'm not asking for anything neither, because what we're gonna do as a collective and as an individual in that collective, I'm gonna continue to strive and create and implement and educate our kids, because at the end of the day, our kids need change.
They need it.
It's simple as that. Our kids need change. And they're the generation behind us, and they're watching everything that we do. So as Kaira mentioned, each and every one of us has a part to play. So for those watching the video, each and every one of you, y'all have gifts inside of you. You got purpose inside of you. If God woke you up this morning, you got a purpose to fulfill. You understand what I'm saying? And each and every day, you can work on that purpose. Where we might not fulfill everything that we want to accomplish on a day's basis, but as long as you do something from a pure intent. Do something without the narrative or the notion of getting something in return.
Do something without your ego.
So guys, actions, not words. You heard from 3 community leaders that do not lead by words, they lead by examples. They've been working already with this interview, without the interview, they've been working, they track the records. It's proven by itself. They've been working already on the things they're talking about. So please follow them. And we have to come to a conclusion. I know we could talk for the entire day, but I want to take.
We need a part 2.
Yes, we will do the part 2. I also want to take this opportunity to make it very clear that Yonkers Voice is not my voice. Yonkers Voice, it's our voice, the community voice, one voice. If you have anything that you think can benefit the community, that can make the community better, positive stories, things that you need the community know, please let us know. We can be reached on Yonkers Voice, but the best way it's by email at yv@yonkersvoice.com. Let us know what's going on. I cannot promise that we will be at every single story because it's only me and a whole bunch of stories, but I will make my best effort to be at every single story. Now, we have a show coming up tonight, right, Nyrell? Tell us about your podcast, what time, where, so people can log in and hear and continue the conversation.
All right. Well, I've started a podcast about a year and a half ago. It's called Talk Your Ish. Talk Your Ish Podcast. Just search it on YouTube. I also have Talk Your Ish Pod on Instagram and Facebook. Don't be shy. Tune in, like, comment, and subscribe. But it's how I realized I was able to help. I look like I do, but I'm able to talk with the best of them. But not only do I talk with the best of them, I'm very succinct and direct. So I'm not hitting you with fillers, I'm not hitting you with any of this, and I'm asking difficult questions because I'm honestly trying to understand. We've been in a world where there's been a lot of facades and false movements and empty promises. We have to get back to the honesty. So asking what's going on, talking to your kids, talking to your parents, having these conversations, that's what's important. And once I realized a lot of these things that happen within our generations or in these generational cycles, they're gonna keep happening if we don't have these conversations. So I took it upon myself. The people in my life or around me weren't ready to have these conversations at first. And shoot, I still feel like we're not ready to have these conversations. So I uploaded them. I put them out there just to see what other people think, if you're dealing with the same things. And a lot of the times it's very much true. So now, after a year and a half of doing the podcast, and then now I see George Floyd's situation and everything I'm talking about and I've talked about is actually coming to fruition, and we can even maybe place these ideals and use some of what I was saying. That's my part. But as far as actually doing the work within the community, we got to delegate when you know what you can and can't do. And that's a level of honesty.
Thank you. Kaira, your closure?
I love Yonkers. I want the best for the place that I want to live in for
Facts.
a long time. I'm a musician, but I love Yonkers.
Yeah.
How can they follow you, Kaira? If they were looking for you on social media, how can they follow you?
My name is Kaira, Kaira. But my full name is Kaira Hassel. Yeah, you can find me. All right, on Instagram it's at IamKaira. But honestly, helping me would just be doing the right thing for our city.
Simple as that.
Right on. TomRay.
Yo, man. Yeah, I go by the name of TomRay, y'all. Yonkers native. I love my city. Born and raised. And you can find me in these Yonkers streets. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Those of you that got my contact, reach out to me. Let's build. Going forward, you know what I'm doing. And lastly, me and a brother of mine, we're working on a community kickball game for the community as a whole. So look out for that info coming out real soon, so we can have some fun in the community and get back to love, because we're bringing the love back. That's what we're doing, and success is the mission. Yonkers, stand up.
Period.
You heard?
Right on. Don't forget to let us know about this game that is coming up.
Yeah, community kickball game. You'll definitely know.
Let me know on, on
Oh,
time.
we're gonna keep you aware.
Keep me posted. Keep me posted, guys. It's only one person running all the streets.
I understand.
So if I don't reply right away, keep insisting. I will give you my number individually. Of course, I will ask you to keep that number to yourself. The rest is people who trust you, because not everyone likes what we do, and sometimes
You don't even have to explain,
I was
brother.
about to
We
say,
bringing the
that's-
love back.
that's it.
That's
Love.
it. We bringing the love back.
Thank
You
you
heard?
for watching. Share this interview. Spread the word. One Yonkers, one people.
Period.
We are one, y'all. Peace.
Deuces. That was dope.
That was super, super.